Floorspace is all about the professional interiors made easy, affordable and on demand. We offer pre-configured interior plans for thousands of apartments and gated communities in Bangalore. So homeowners in any of these projects can not only discover their budget, they can get to freeze their budget, identify design patterns and so forth, sitting right from their homes and offices or wherever they get online from. It's basically a new way to design interiors, a platform that brings together the two worlds everybody lives in today, the real world and the digital world. We have been around for more than 2 years and we have a very good profitable growth. That's one part that I do want to bring in. We're fairly profitable, as I would like to put it. Because if you look at the industry today, the industry structure, a typical home buyer has, the two spectrums. One is you go, engage a carpenter, do things the very traditional way, or you walk into one of those stores, the luxury stores, the Italians and so forth. And across this spectrum, the industry is very fragmented. The real comes in when you start to doing the interiors, right? Because that's where your dreams start to take more structured shape and form. I am basically an engineer who likes to build things, take new initiatives, do something that impacts real life. And there is also a creative part of me, there is a distinct creative part of me, I would like to put it that way. All through my corporate life, professional career, the first part, building things and stuff, I have a very satisfying stint that I had. I think I enjoyed everything that I did. So be it in the brick and mortar world with engineering design and turnkey executions, across large corporates, organizations and so forth, or in the virtual world with technology or in the consulting space. I think it was the second part, the second department, which I think had more to do. So it was in some ways, coming together of a lot of things at a given space in time that seeded Floorspace. I would say it is a classical case of passion, meeting opportunity in that sense. And with Floorspace, at least you build things, a lot of things that you do, it's something real that goes in. At the same time, there's a heavy creative element. Today with the modular manufacturing technology that's used, that we follow as well, there's a lot more of engineering that really goes behind what you see in those beautiful, furnitures that you see. And I think that's something I'm personally excited about. All our teams, they've been there, are equally passionate about two things and diligence. So that's, that has been kind of one part of how, Floorspace came in. Easy access to, affordable and professional interior design and execution services, which people can, look at. Our focus is very clearly on fixed furnitures. So, we're talking about anything to do with modular kitchens, modular wardrobes, or any of the fixed, stuff in terms of false ceilings and stuff that go in. So that's very clearly our focus. We are not into, into the other elements of the home decor. That's one area that we were clear about. We work with, so many times clients do come us and say, look, can you help us do the, the lighting for us, or can you help us do the drapes and so forth? And we have excellent partner network. We help clients do it, from that perspective. So we have a whole spectrum service from that point of view, but from a core business perspective, that is what we are focusing on. How are we different? I think there's one thing since the inception that we have always stayed on, and I think that's one part of our strategy. We have always stayed on, together, and we have seen that very good response both from the customers as well as in terms of our growth and so forth. Is that we always had pre-configured, interior plans for apartments, projects, and gated communities. So that's investment we have made, and how does it help a customer? How we differentiate out there is very simply three things, and I keep coming about it. It's about making it easy for them, making it affordable, and on demand. As what's happening across anything that consumers today are involved in, they always go and research online, right? I mean, that's a de facto. Before they walk into any place, that's always a mode, in most of the cities if you look at it. So that's one part, that's how we're tying into as well. I think it's a consumer behavior that we are aligning ourselves to, as businesses. B is the part that, you know, the next step people have been always looking at is saying, okay, now I walk into, you know, spend a few weekends, walk into a couple of stores and so forth. And that's where we are giving them both the options. People do walk in here, you know, at times, you know, to do things, but at the same time we give them a convenience of saying, look, I can't always have my weekends out for this, you know. It's when you come back and look at people, some of them really frustrated, looking at, you know, every, you know, weekend putting out there just before they're trying to do the interior. So that's a convenience part that we're trying to bring in, saying, look, sitting from their homes and stuff, you are able to look through. And I think that's again the trend that's looking in, as you said, of, you know, what's happening in the broader furniture segment. I think one thing that we've always, you know, our go-to to the customers is, you know, we're talking about professional interiors. So we're not talking about, you know, that's a distinctive advantage or, you know, differentiation that we talk about, right from the way we engage with them to we execute the work and so forth. We don't think going back and telling customers that, look, because of XYZ reasons your work is delayed is acceptable in any ways, you know. So that's a very simple stuff that we look at. Now, for us to make that happen, you know, we talk about our learnings and so forth. I think one is, you're talking about an industry which is still, you know, while it's fragmented, I think it's not as mature as we have here as it is in some of the other parts of the world. So what do we need to do? We need to always have a plan B. We need to always factor for things that you don't know will come in. So for example, look in Bangalore, I mean, 2 weekends there have been bunds, right? So material movements get impacted, work at the sites get impacted. Power supplies in, you know, apartment projects is always suspect. So we need to always have a plan B. We need to always think ahead of it, because at the end of it, to a customer, when a delivery comes in, you can't go back and say, look, because of these XYZ, okay, it's going to take 10 more days. No, you know, people have EMI pressures, people have kids, you know, going to school and all this life around it. It's a big event, right? You know, moving into a house is a big event. It's a family event in the family. Two parts where I look at it, you know, our value to the customer is, and I come to the other point of what we're talking about, affordable interiors, right? So what does it mean? You know, we have invested in system process technologies in such a way that we bring, you know, maximum efficiency into whatever we do, you know, and there is a whole range, and that's a big factor if you look at from a material usage point of view in this industry. So we have tried to, you know, maximize the efficiency and pass on those benefits to the customers. So, you know, why it's not that we're sacrificing our margins, you know, to be very honest, because at the end of it, you know, if we are not able to sustain, we are not able to go, you know, give customers the benefit we're talking about. But I think one part that, you know, one we have to realize, you know, in today's world, you know, whether it's a big or a small company, the benefits of having a network effect, right, in the economy, in the marketplace, is definitely, nobody can deny that, you know, you could leverage that to give, you know, better service, better offering to the customers. And to that extent, yeah, we are always open, you know, to explore, you know, such options, you know, explore avenues of such network effect, where, you know, the passion is equally shared about what we're trying to do of having professional interiors, you know, to affordable to a large number of people. I think that's the bottom line that drives us. We are about simplicity, creativity, and diligence. Those are three values that are core to us. That's what drives us, and we want to stay that way. We are wanting to make, when we see people, you know, it's really saddening to see people come back. At times we have people coming in, you know, barely 6 months having done their interiors and saying, look, can you guys do something with us? We're not happy with what we have done. And when you look back, you see the same amount of money that people have spent, that they've spent otherwise, could have been done in a very different way, very closer to their dreams. So I think that's something that we want, and that's what we are addressing. We have had a very positive feedback. We've got very positive success out there with what we're doing with the customers. We want to stay that. We of course want to scale up from a presence perspective, because more than 100,000 fans that we have, for example, on Facebook itself, we keep getting requests of, you know, people saying, why don't you make Floorspace in their cities, you know, a Floorspace home and so forth. So that's definitely in our future plans that we want to look at expanding across, but very staying focused on those, you know, core values that we're looking at.
Commonflow.com is India's leading real estate portal, which was started back in 2008 by Lalit, Vikas and Sumit.
It represents a common platform where People can access information about anything related to property.
Our startup has worked out of 12 co-working spaces so far. We keep moving from one co-working space to another so that we can save money on food, electricity, rent, and even toilet paper. Sometimes we even steal food from the fridge, but no one seems to care.